Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Historia Politica Publica. This is the third episode of the series about Final Fantasy VII and its comparison with the real world, analysis of the game and the different forces that operate through the story. Again, we have Avalanche, Syndra, and Sephiroth. In the previous episode I talked about some of the main characters, also the idea of North Korea and Gold South as a kind of a split, and a reference to the Korean Wars that happened in the 1950s during the Cold War. Also the imposition of Shinra building reactors in different parts of the globe. And in this episode I wanted to talk about some of the characters and other areas. The last city that I talked about was Gutai, that I mentioned it was an analogy of Cuba, this kind of area which was at war with Midjar, same as Cuba, who suffered a blockade by the USA. Midjar and Shinra are the most powerful kind of institution in the whole world of Final Fantasy VII, and henceforth they are imposing the global hegemony according to their own interests, same as the USA is doing nowadays. And I spoke about the blowing up of the pipeline Nord Stream and how Seymour Hersh has published in his blog that it was the USA who blew the pipeline. I mean, if this is confirmed, this is huge, and obviously this is the thing that Syndra has been doing all along in the video game of Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, again, it is based on climate activism because the main group, Avalanche, is formed by these eco-anarchists who wants to save the planet. Obviously, there are different branches of anarchism within the group. We have Barret, which is a proponent of propaganda by deed, which was kind of theorized more by Bakunin, and this idea that you need to carry actions that sometimes can have civil victims in order to create some change. Barret obviously has been influenced by what he saw in North Korea, his hometown, when Shinra destroyed the whole city, because allegedly the people in North Korea destroyed the reactor of North Korea, but this wasn't true. But in that sense, there are other people like Tifa, which more a kind of anarchist pacifist, like this anarchism which has been a ramification of Taoism and Buddhism, the idea of being in harmony with the whole nature, bring peace to the world, and establishing an egalitarian system. Aerith, precisely, which is the symbolism of the planet Earth, is the most proponent of anarchism in that vein, because she wants to save the planet. She has the white materia and is willing to defeat Sephiroth to avoid the destruction of the planet. As the last kind of survivor of the Cetra, she has this kind of mission upon herself. Same as we humans nowadays, we have to protect the planet by any means. So, other areas where Shinra put the reactor was Gongaga, which it was a small town that when the reactor was destroyed, it devastated the city, and Shinra forgot about them. Also, we have another areas in which the intervention of Shinra had caused kind of terrible ramifications. One good example is a Rocket City. Rocket City, it is a place in which Shinra built a rocket in order to go into space. And in that city there was Sid, which was the main pilot of the corporation. He was promised that he would be the first to go into outer space, and he was very passionate about that. It was his dream since he was a child to see the stars, to go into the space and reach other planets. But the thing is, like, when he's going to when the rocket is going to be launched and Sid is ready to depart into outer space, Shera, which is Sid's best friend, is fixing some kind of machinery inside the rocket. And when there is the countdown, this is a very good scene, because basically what happened is that there are like 60 seconds to the launch of the rocket, but Shera is there fixing the kind of machinery. and Sid, which is talking with Sierra by the voice speaker, tell her, listen, leave that place now or you will die, because when the fire starts to burn the place, she will be disintegrated. And Sierra say, no worries, Sid, you just go outer space. And Sid is obviously facing a dilemma which is lasting for seconds, like, okay, my dream is to go to outer space. If I cancel now the mission, probably I won't ever have the same opportunity again. But Sierra is my best friend, so I don't know what to do. When there is like few seconds to the launch of the rocket, she presses the button to stop the operation, and the rocket does not go to outer space. Sid has seen broken his dreams, but he has saved the life of Shira. Shinra, obviously, after that, forget about Sid, and they left the city. Sid became an alcoholic drunk during the next years. He mistreated Shira because he blamed her as the kind of person that has destroyed her dreams, whereas he doesn't realize that the real people that have destroyed his dream is Shinra, which they promise all the support for going to space, but as soon as he canceled that mission, Shinra believed that he wasn't good enough for that. But it's interesting because the dilemma of Sid is very interesting. Like, he's willing to kind of impose his love for Shira above the idea of going to outer space. And this is a kind of idea in which love is one of the main forces that led humanity toward progress. And eventually in the video game, we see how Sid kind of discovered that Shira was right on fixing the machinery, because he blames her for being too careful with that, like if she was some kind of hypochondriac trying to fix everything so well when it was not necessary. However, in the future in the game, we see that if Shira had not spent the whole time there, and if Sid had fled into space at that time, he would have died when he was upon the air. So he realized that Sarah was right all along, and he felt bad for her, for all the mistreatment that he has faced her. But this is interesting because they have a great relation which is destroyed by Shinra intervention, but eventually when Sid realizes what Shinra has been doing all along, they get friends again. And the last character that I want to talk, and this is the last character of the game, I've spoken about the other 8 characters, is Vincent. Vincent, it is as Yuffie, another character that it is not mandatory to take him in your party, because he's kind of a prisoner in the mansion of Nibelheim, the same mansion in which Sephiroth discovered the reality about humanity that I mentioned in the first episode. When Sephiroth goes there, he has the mind blank, he's in the Plato's cave, but when he left the underground of Nibelheim, the darkness, the cave, he has become a new person, because he has realized that humanity has destroyed etc., who were protecting the planet, and in that sense, Sephiroth wants to avenge the Cetras in order to restore the balance in the universe, but for doing so, he wants to summon the meteorite to clash with the whole humanity, and with the risk to destroy the same planet that he wants to protect. So here we have the dichotomy between Aerith and Sephiroth. One has the black materia and the other has the white materia. One wants to save the planet, the other also, but where Sephiroth wants to save the planet by killing the humans, Aerith wants to save the planet for everybody, not making distinctions. So even here we have 2 branches of anarchism, the anarchist terrorism that Ursula Le Guin points that it is not real anarchism, and the anarchism which is pacifism, which is portrayed by Aerith, and it has kind of the ideas of Avalanche in it. Anarchism obviously evolved during the game, and even Barret, which is for destruction at the beginning of the game, he will save his mind by what he's seeing around and is willing to defeat Shinra, but at the same time wants to do in another kind of way. So Vincent, it is obviously a reference, a similar kind of idea of V for Vendetta, also the name Vincent with the V. When he goes out from the underground after Cloud and the team rescue him, he wants to revenge with Hoyo, which is the scientist that has experiment upon him, same as he experiment upon the soldiers, infusing them with Mako energy. He has put Genova cells into Vincent, and for that reason he's able to kind of transform himself into a beast. And also Vincent, why he was prisoner there? Because he didn't like the experiments that Hoyo was doing upon humans, like kind of establishing an idea of biogenetics in which he was putting into the belly of his wife, Lucretia, which is the mother of Sephiroth, and precisely because when she's in gestation, he puts cells there, and Sephiroth, when he is born, he has these kind of powers, because even before he was born, he had cells of Genova upon his blood. In that sense, Vincent refused these experiments and is willing to challenge Hoyo, but Hoyo shoots him, doesn't kill him, but leave him unconscious and experiment upon himself. So Hoyo is this guy that is experimenting, and it is a good dilemma that we experiment in Final Fantasy VII. Experimentation upon animals, in that case non-human animals. So Vincent, which is refused that, makes sense that he joins this anarchist movement, which is Avalanche, because anarchism is against also the experimentation within humans, non-human animals, and so on. So when Vincent knows about the kind of commitment of Cloud, Barret, Tifa, and the others to save the planet and pursue Sephiroth, he's willing to go there in order to get his revenge in Hoyo. Same as the Count of Monte Cristo, who is imprisoned by a crime that he did not commit. Vincent kind of see the light after many years in the prison and is able to get his revenge at the end of the video game. So now that we have all the party, the 9 main characters, we can see how different are from each other. They have some discussions and a great plot twist upon the game, some experience that saved their view of the world. Sid, for example, again, he's a drunken at the beginning, but eventually he becomes the captain of the High Wind, the kind of plane that you have in the video game. He sees reality upon other eyes. Also, you have people like Barret and Tifa, which they realize upon their own views how Shinra is manipulating the media. And this is very interesting because there is a part in the game in which a meteorite is being summoned by Sephiroth, and the thing is like the members of Avalanche are going to be executed in front of the cameras. Why? Because they are blamed for summoned meteorite, even though the members of Shinra admit to them that they are innocent about that, but some of them say, listen, we need to blame somebody in order to, bring peace to the world. Like, you will be the scapegoats and we are going to blame upon you the fact that we are going to be killed in a few days, because you see how the meteorite is falling down into the earth. So this is another example of the Society of the Spectacle, the theory developed by Guy Debord in 1968. I think it was published, the book, 1967, 1968. The execution is going to be carried in the cameras in order that the people all over the world can see those guys of Avalanche dying. And in that sense, Shinra is planning, okay, this will be blamed, and after we can develop some technology and try to save the world, we will become the heroes, and so on. The perfect plan for them. At the end, they Avalanche escape, and they say, but this experience, it is the watershed moment for Barret and Tifa when they realize, they had realized before, but this is a moment in which they say, okay, Shinra is willing to do everything for destroy us, destroy the planet, and because they control the mainstream media, they are able to do whatever they want. This is like in real life nowadays. You read different newspapers, they are telling the same news with a different perspective, and who controls the narrative will control the truth. And this is very important because Final Fantasy VII is always about how the truth is hidden by the people. And when you speak with the commoners around, you realize how Shinra has manipulated many of their minds through the media. And you see kind of different perspective from obviously the people in Gutai is against Sinra because they were at war with them. But the people in Calm, which is a small town near Millar, they praise Sinra because according to them, Sinra has brought progress to the city, has brought electricity, and they live much better with Sinra. And you may wonder, well, but Sinra is destroying the planet, and for kind of mastering nature, we are sacrificing the earth in order to help humanity. But yes, this is what the humans we have been doing all along. Like in Europe, in South America, in Asia, the thing of industrialization has served humans to progress all the way, taking the toll of the planet. And nowadays, the planet is dying, and we are being told that we need to kind of establish a green revolution in order to protect the planet. In order to do so, we need a global solidarity and a redistribution of wealth, because there are people who have billions of pounds and are not willing to contribute. So the thing is, like, as in Final Fantasy VII, there is the need for global solidarity upon everybody, and not this kind of empty message like, okay, you need to recycle and it will be fine. No, the main polluting companies and the main polluting countries must pay for what they have been doing all along. I mean, Afghanistan has not contaminated as much as USA, or Iraq has not polluted the earth as much as the UK, and so on. We could draw a huge list about how there are some countries which have a huge toll of carbon footprint towards the world. Another cities like Yunnan, which is not very far from Calm, has realized how the empty promise of Sinra has destroyed the city. They basically built a huge canyon which is kind of covering the sun from the common people in Yunnan, same as happening in Millar, and there you have a sea there in which the creators have died because the water is not receiving the sun and there is pollution going forward for the industrialization of that area, and has killed many sentient beings. Aside from that, we can realize that Sinra has been cheating everybody, selling some promises, and in that way they have been able to manipulate the kind of global narrative. One of the interesting things of Sinra is that at the beginning of the game, you have the president of Sinra, which basically he's spending a lot of money in order to infuse this propaganda upon all the world. But when he's killed by Sephiroth, his son Rufus takes the charge as president of Sinra. And he has an interesting speech with Cloud at the beginning in which he says, listen, my father wanted to control the world spending money. And I disagree with this approach because spending money is expensive. Obviously, I want to control the world with something that is much cheaper and much more powerful. Fear. Fear will make people do what we want. What Sinra wants, the national interest of Millar channeled by this corporation, and we will do that through fear. The fear is exemplified by the fear of the meteorite, also the campaigns of propaganda orchestrated by Sinra. And this is interesting because Rufus, I think, is much more clever than his father, and is able to sell this idea that the avalanche is going to destroy the planet. The fear, he plays with the fear of the people. Same as nowadays we are being told that, oh, it is the war in Ukraine that is kind of putting high our prices, inflation is blame on Putin, and also China, and these kind of ideas, putting some countries as the evil and the others as the good ones. So this fear, which is being sold by the media, controlled by the powers and the companies who in most of the occasions they have alliance with the fossil fuels company, electricity, and so on. So fear, it is a very powerful feeling which is controlling the population. Okay, what else I could say about the game? Because I don't want to tell everything about the story. It is great. It is very enjoyable to play. Also in the remake, we see the characters more developed than in the original game, but still, the original is great to play because we can see this parallelism between our current world, especially with the climate crisis. it is interesting now that I am just thinking about that, the movie Don't Look Up, and how there is a meteorite going to the Earth, same as happened in the video game, and there are people in the movie who are not willing to look up, and they don't believe on that. In Final Fantasy, it's not like that, because everybody is able to see, literally, the meteorite. I mean, the movie also, but they play with this kind of comedy where, like, there are people who are not even able to look up. But the thing is, like, in the video game, the blame is upon Avalanche. All the time. And aside from that, when meteorite is summoned, there are 4 kind of monsters who appear from the north of the map, which is like the North Cave. In that sense, these 4 monsters, which are the protectors of the planet, those are kind of monsters kept by the Cetra in order to be summoned if the planet Earth was being threatened by a mighty force. Henceforth, when the meteorite is summoned, these 4 monsters appear. You have, they are called the weapons. You have Diamond, Emerald, Ruby, and kind of the last one. So these 4 have to protect the planet. Interestingly, they are going to destroy Sinra's building, which it is a kind of illustrative about which one is the main threat to the planet. Is it the meteorite or Sinra? You have Diamond weapon, how is going to Midjar, Emerald weapon, how is going to Yunnan, and this kind of areas. Ruby is around Gold Saucer, and the other one is flying all around the world. Those weapons that you can fight against, then you must fight at least against Diamond. It is interesting because Diamond is going to destroy Midjar because it's killing the planet. In Midjar, obviously, you see how the reactors are fusing all the energy, extracting from the Earth to transform into Mako. But the thing is, if Diamond wants to destroy Midjar, is that not the idea that Barret and Avalanche wanted to do at the beginning of the game? But at that point, because the thinking has evolved so much, the main group, Avalanche, is willing to defeat Diamond to save Midjar. So the thing is like, wow, what development on the ideas of Avalanche from destroying the first reactor now to trying to save Midjar and henceforth Sinra. So you destroy Diamond, but obviously after that you go to Midjar and you want to go to the core of Sinra in order to detain the global crisis. In that sense, and I think I will finish the episode here, just to give a huge sum up, we have those groups who have different interests along the video game. Cities very interesting like Cosmo Canyon, Gutai, North Corel, Rocket City, you have Nibelheim, obviously the Ancient City, which is the place where the Cetra used to live before, the ice area. So many different areas with different ideologies, but again, you have Sinra that has permeated for all over the world, and there is no one place in which you do not see Sinra's technology apart from Gutai, that again, it is the kind of small town who has always fight against Midjar, but has been destroyed during the war against Sinra. In the meantime, you have Avalanche moving around, you have Sephiroth going in different ways, the people of Avalanche having interesting conversations like the one in Cosmo Canyon where Avalanche was supposed to end, the place where it began, but still it kind of lived again. Obviously we have Kai'Sid, how he betrayed the group, but after he redeemed himself. How after Cloud disappeared, you have people like Tifa or Sid that took the lead of the group and they are able to took another approach to the things that were happening all along. We see obviously Aerith which is perhaps the most important character in the whole story because symbolizes the protection of the planet, the kind of last solution in order to save the Earth. And aside from that, we have even in Shinra, and this is something that I like, of the game, that even though they are portrayed as the evil, they have their own reasons. Like, the reason is to make money, the reason is to progress into society, and even in Shinra is not an homogeneous group of people who have the same view. You have people like Griff, who doesn't feel good about what he's doing. Others like Rufus, like he's more pragmatic, like, listen, we need to instigate fear upon the population just to control it, and in that way Shinra will keep being the hegemonic force on the world. We have the Turks like Reno, Ruth, Helena, who they are like kind of mercenaries from Shinra, but they have obviously those ethical dilemmas. And it is interesting because there is one point in the story when precisely they are in Gutai that Don Corneo, which is this kind of epitome of machismo within the game, he kidnapped Yuffie, the friend of Avalanche, Cloud, and the others, and Helena, which is the other Turk. And in that sense, the Turks and Avalanche, they ally themselves to defeat Don Corneo. And once Don Corneo is defeated and they have saved their friends, Reno takes a phone call in which he's told to kind of capture the Avalanche members. But at that time, he's in front of Cloud and the others, and he says, okay, I think we can stay on holidays for a while. And they agree on that. So it is interesting how those that they are the main enemies, Shinra's members and Avalanche, they are able to ally themselves for a common good. And at the end, they kind of give themselves a break. And later on in the game, you will fight against those people. But it shows also the moral complexities in the video game. Not everybody is good, not everybody is evil. Even Cloud was part of Shinra before. Even Barret was supporting Shinra before. And so you have how this character, even Vincent was part of Shinra. So it is interesting how Shinra has kind of instigated itself in the different minds of everybody. And the thing is, like, many of them are allied themselves for the enmity against Shinra. So just to finish here, and hope you play the game. The story line is absolutely amazing. Also, the philosophical dilemmas that you find in the game, the power of the mutual aid, the importance of saving the planet, the different ideologies within anarchism, the power of capitalism to impose upon the world, not just by sheer violence, but also controlling the media. And this is a good lesson for our contemporary world, in which the truth is so disguised behind different kind of interests, and it is really difficult to find the truth and to seek what is morally correct in our kind of complex time. But at the same time, we have more access to information than ever before in history, and I think we should take the chance for doing that.